So YouTube is up. Sorry, that YouTube camera now auto adjusts, so it's going to be a little whacked for a minute. All right. Cool. This new light is so bright I can't hardly see. All right. Facebook looks good as well. I feel like I'm still missing something. What am I missing? Nothing yet. All right. All right. Yeah. Like I said, I can't really see a lot of what's going on Facebook. That new stand does it a little weird. Anyway, so yeah, happy 2026 or something. Actually, I'm going to start standing, so I'm not going to sit just yet. So my idea, like everyone else's, right, on the first of the year, is to set your intention and everyone starts exercising, right? Almost everyone. They say, I'm going to get fit this year, right? Or I'm going to walk more, or I'm going to whatever, right? And usually by mid-February or so, right, the gym starts to empty. And, we let life get in the way. And it just happens. It happens less, though, if you find something you love, right? Or you're doing it while you're doing something you love, right? So if you love to listen to audiobooks and you walk while you listen to audiobooks, okay? For me, years and years and years and years ago, it was finding a yoga class. Because I'd been to the gym, right? I was a gym rat for 6 months of the year, and then I hated it and stopped, and right? But then I found yoga, and this almost a daily practice for 20 plus years. So find something you love, and it might not be this, right? Or this might be a part of it. You love taking your walks, listening to your audiobooks, and on Saturday mornings, this is your part of it, right? But find something you love, and hopefully it's this. And if you are brand new, today is going to be wonderful. If you are not brand new, we're going to practice like we're brand new, right? And approaching things with what we call a beginner mind is really important anyway, right? Because we're looking for what happens when I do this. We are so focused on what we are doing at that moment that it doesn't matter that you can stand on your head for 25 minutes. I don't recommend that. Or whether you're just standing here like this, when you are so focused on the moment, you're practicing yoga. So forget all the other nonsense, it doesn't matter, right? So we're going to start again. My cues are going to be really specific, right? I'm saying a lot, sorry. And just, take them for what they are, right? So starting with standing is really interesting because we stand all the time, right? But we typically don't stand. So let's do that. If you're not already, come to standing at the top of your mat. And you're going to make your feet right underneath your hip bones, right? The bones, not the sides, right? The bones. And the toes point forward. Okay? So the center of your foot, really obviously your pinky toes kind of go out a little bit. Right? And then go ahead and pick up your toes. And notice where you stand most heavily. Right? For me, like right now, it's on the inside of my foot. So rock to the top, right? Like by where your toes would be if they were on the floor. And then rock to the back so all your weight is in the heels. And roll to the outsides of your feet. And then roll to the insides of your feet. So you barely moved and all that happened with the body weight, right? Find the four corners again, right? So even weight on the four corners of the foot. Now you're standing, right? Or we're started. Imagine lifting your kneecaps up. Pushing down into the floor activates all the muscles in the legs. You don't normally do that. Gentle tug of the tailbone so that you feel your lower back lengthen. You don't want to shove your pelvis forward, but just enough to lengthen that lower back. And then get taller. Think crown of the head to the ceiling. Relax your shoulders. Your hands can hang, they can rest on your thighs, whatever makes you happy. But middle fingers ideally are down the side seams of your pants if you have side seams in your pants. Right? You can roll the palms forward if you love that. It does feel nice across your chest. Okay? But just so that the shoulders are open. We're almost there. Think bottom tips of the ears back. And you're going to find a place where your neck goes, hey, that feels all right. And then just sit with this for a second. And notice if you kind of let go of one area or another. Lastly, we want to really engage that lower belly to protect the lower back. So we lift the pelvic floor and pull the lower belly in and up. Think like an ice cream scoop. So this area is activated. It helps protect the lower back, keeping it long. And then this is standing. Or it's standing in yoga anyway. Keep that. Begin to focus on your breath and breathe all through your nose. And just kind of watch what happens, right? Do you breathe more into your chest or do you breathe more into your belly? We're going to start to gently expand that breath. So take your inhales a little longer and your exhales a little bit more complete. And just to kind of take it out for, see what you can do sort of thing, right? As you make your way there, we're going to work until when you inhale, you're as full as you can be, and when you exhale, you're as empty as you can be, right? Like kind of the extremes. So find that place. Take your time, of course. And now that you've felt that range, see if you can find a middle, right? So not the very breath that we started with, not the big, gigantic, enormous breath, but something just a little bit beyond comfortable. So a nice full breath. And then check back in. What's going on with your feet? Are your legs still activated? What about that lower belly? How's your neck feel? So there's plenty of things to pay attention to, even when we're just standing here. We're going to add movement into the breath next. Super simple. Inhale, stretch your arms up to the ceiling. Come to the top when your lungs are full. And then exhaling, take your arms back down by your sides, touching the thighs again when you're empty. Again. One more time like that. What's going on with your feet? Let's come back to the top. When you get there, interlace your fingers. You can rotate the palms toward the ceiling if you like that. Exhale, tip yourself over to the right. And then inhale, come on back to the middle. And exhale over to the left. So we're going side to side like that with the breath. Keeping the feet steady, even as you tip to the side. Keeping the arms alongside the ears. Your lower belly still working? Once more on each side. When we're back to center, go ahead and release the arms, exhaling. All right. Bring your hands to rest on your thighs here. I'm going to turn sideways for a quick second. With the breath here, on the exhale, come over into a half fold kind of place. We're going to hold that here for just a quick second and notice what happens, right? Did you bend your knees? Did you shift your weight back? Did the background? See if you can find the standing pose here. So 4 corners of the feet, even weight. Legs active, pushing down into the floor, even though it feels kind of weird. You can support with your hands on your thighs as much as you need, for sure. The lower belly still working. The spine is still in that same position. So elbows out sometimes helps the shoulders stay back. Right. Head in line with the spine, so we're not drooping on the floor. Right. And then go ahead and take a little bend into the knees. With the next inhale, roll up through your spine. So tuck your tailbone under, one vertebra stacks on top of the next, coming all the way back up to the top. Okay. So we're going to move like that with our breath. As we exhale, we take that flat back, down. And then on the inhale, bend into the knees and roll up through the spine, back to standing again. Take a few breaths like that. Nice and slow, controlled, noticing what the body's doing. Next time you're in that half fold, go ahead and hold that one. So again, leaning on the legs for support as much as you need here. Right? If this is a gigantic hamstring stretch, you are done. Otherwise, we're going to see if we can move into the fold a little bit deeper. Right? Inhale where we are here. And then when you exhale, dip in just a little deeper. Right? But keeping the legs straight, the weight square on the feet. Inhale, come on up into that halfway place again. And then exhale a little bit deeper yet. Right? And you might be done after 2 breaths. It might take you 5 or 6. Right? Take your time. Noticing what's happening in your feet, in your legs, with your spine. Maybe you don't need to lean on your legs as much as you did when you first started. Again, just being present in the moment and not worrying about how deep the pose is. So we're going to find the deepest part of the pose for now, whatever that might look like. If you need the support, you stay on the thighs. You can move down to the shins if that's you, or even to the floor, as long as we don't lose the spine, right? If you bend your knees and round your spine to find the floor, it's not that important, right? Maybe bring your hands back up a bit. Take just a couple of breaths here and notice where you are without judging whether it's good or bad. And then we're going to make our way down onto hands and knees. So think about your hands on the floor just like we talked about with our feet. So wide fingers, right, spread them wide, and notice the 4 corners of the hands like we talked about with the feet. So lean more into the ridge top, right? Push more into the heel of your hand. Notice right and, or not right and left, inside and outside. Okay. And then find the middle. And if you want the extra work for your arms, pushing down into the floor muscularly, not pushing away with the shoulders, right? But just with the arms, making sure the shoulders feel neutral on your back. So not sagging through, not pushing up, right? Finding the middle. Knees are up underneath the hips. If this bothers your wrists a lot, the hands can be a little bit forward, right? So the angle isn't as extreme. And maybe the hands will get stronger. So moving through some cat-cow, super simple here. On an inhale, drop your belly to the floor. And with the exhale, round your spine to the ceiling. Tuck your tailbone, think forehead to your belly button, round through the spine. And then just flow between those two. Inhaling the belly low. Exhaling the spine to the ceiling. Noticing how each piece of the spine has its job. And maybe some areas are a little bit more flexible than others. And that's normal. What's more like that? And then find the middle. And instead of being in this tabletop, we're going to take the hands about a handprint ahead. Shift the shoulders forward into a kneeling plank. So again, four corners of the hands, bearing all the weight. The shoulders are neutral on the back, the belly's pulled in, so your bum isn't hanging on the floor, right? But it's not sticking up in the air either. Finding the middle. So this is a kneeling plank, right? Or a push-up. You can stay on the knees. You can lift them away from the floor. So here the legs and the belly have to do at least as much work as the arms, right? So pressing through the feet as if you were standing. See if you can find that standing position in your plank here. And then lifting the knees away from the floor if you hadn't before. We're going to go ahead and lift the hips and make our way toward down dog. So keeping your hands and feet where they are. Right? And just wiggle around here. Bending through one knee, pressing through the opposite heel, shifting back and forth through the shoulders, maybe your hips side to side, whatever feels good, dropping down to the knees anytime you need to rest. And then settling into it. So we want to think pressing the chest back toward the thighs, pressing the heels toward the floor, they do not have to touch. And here we want to think about that half fold position, right? So roughly a 90-degree bend in the hips, roughly. From here, let's go ahead and step the right foot forward into a lunge. We're going to drop the left knee to the floor, and sometimes it's hard to get your foot all the way up there, so wiggle it until it gets there. If you need to cushion that back knee, absolutely cushion it. Roll around into your hips a little bit. And then find kind of the center, right? So pressing down into this right foot. Imagine pulling your legs together as if you were standing. You're gonna feel your hips kind of square up, feel it? And you might be way high, right? Don't worry about it. If you want to support on the thigh, you want to use blocks, whatever you need here. From here, we're going to take the right leg straight or straight-ish. Again, supporting up higher if you need to be higher. You can flex the foot back, that gives a little bit more stretch. And then bend back into the knee and let your hips come forward. Sit back, legs straight. And it's not really just a sitting back, right? It's just a shifting the weight forward and back. Finding a stretch. That's all you're looking for. That's all you're feeling for. Forward again. Back one more time. Bend into the knee again. Lift the back knee, step back to your down dog. And then we're switching, bringing the left foot forward. Drop the back knee, adjust your left foot. Again, kind of wiggle around side to side a little. Cushion if you need to cushion, prop if you need to prop. Finding your center, so activate the muscles. Pulling the legs toward each other, pushing down into this left foot as if you were standing on it. And then have that straight left leg. Let's bend in, shift forward. Take the leg straight again. And bend. One more time, straight leg. And maybe you find after the third time you don't need the block. You're deeper into the stretch, yeah? Bend back into the knee. Lift your right knee and step back to your down dog. So we're going to shift forward, coming back into the plank. Go ahead and take your knees to the floor. So really think about the upper body being where it is, right? Staying the same. Straight line from the crown of your head to your knees. Everything's engaged, yeah? Bring your elbows tight to your sides and slowly lower yourself to the floor. It may end up in a big splat, but ideally everything hits the floor together, right? You stayed in that straight line the whole time. Maybe not quite. So the hands are ideally land next to your side ribs, but if they didn't, move them there. Hug the elbows into the body, feel the chest open, yeah? Toes are gonna stay on the floor for right now. With an inhale, roll your shoulders up by your ears, bring them together on your back and draw them down towards your hip bones. And then exhale and release that. So we inhale and lift, and exhale, drop back down. So with the breath, just give those shoulders a nice big roll. A couple more times. And then just rest on the floor for a quick second. We're going to hold that. We're going to add on to it, maybe, right? We're going to hold that up position. So go ahead and hug your elbows in, roll your shoulders, holding while you're lifted away from the floor. See where you are, like not even using your hands, right? Lift your hands up off the floor and see where your body is. Feel where your body is. Keep hugging those elbows in, put your hands back down if you haven't already, and then pull like you're pulling your belly button between your thumbs. Did that give you a little lift all by itself? So the idea is a pull, and we can add a little bit of push, but we don't want to just push, right? So pulling, pressing a little bit, coming a little bit higher. Can you breathe? Breathing is important. Release on back down. So we're going to lift back up into our kneeling plank. Lower belly's pulled in, elbows tucked in. Press down into your knees and feel like your belly's lifting up off the floor. It might not literally lift, probably not, yeah? But then that whole straight line thing again, from the crown of the head to the knees, try to lift up off the floor everything together, back to kneeling plank. Yeah. And then sit the hips back and move to child's pose. So the hips sit back, maybe they touch your heels, maybe they don't come anywhere near them. The arms can stay stretched forward. They can come back down by your heels. You can prop your head up on a block if it doesn't make it to the floor, or even your hands, yeah. From here, we're gonna lift back up into down dog. Stepping or walking the feet forward, come to a standing fold. Bringing your toes to your fingers, however you get them there. And then let's take a little bend in through the knees again here. With an inhale, we're rolling up through the spine. Standing tall again. So 4 corners of the feet, pressing down into the floor. The belly is working, the spine is tall, the shoulders are relaxed, your head's in that same alignment, yeah? So anytime we come back to standing, you want to think about it like we did at the very beginning, all that effort, all that work that we put into it. So we're going to use those poses that we just did, and we're going to work them into a sun salute. And we'll just do a couple, and we'll keep them simple. If you want to bump them up, of course you can, right? But being mindful of every little piece of that, right? Staying focused on the details. And if making it harder makes you lose those details, maybe step it back. So standing tall, we inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, take it into a fold. Flat back all the way down. Inhale, come halfway up. Maybe hands rest on the thighs here. Exhale, step yourself back into a plank or kneeling plank and drop down to the belly. Control everything to the floor together. Inhale, roll into the shoulders, maybe that little pull and press with the hands. And then exhale, make your way up and back to down dog. Inhaling to step the feet forward. 1 step or 10, whatever. Next inhale, come halfway up again. Rest on the legs maybe. Exhale into the fold again. Inhale, lift all the way to the top. And release the arms. So just a faster version of what we've been doing. So one more time, just like that, simple. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plank or kneeling. Down to the belly. Into cobra. Back to down dog. Inhale, step forward. Next inhale, halfway up. And then come all the way up. Exhaling the arms. So whether you've been practicing for a minute or not, if it takes you an extra breath to move in or out of something, take the extra breath. It's not a big deal. So from the top of the mat here, let's go ahead and take a short step back with the left foot. And you'll read and see where it says 2 feet or 3 feet or whatever. The idea is to have alternate toes pointing forward. Right? If you're a little wobbly, make the feet wider sideways. Helps to stabilize a little bit. And then when we bend into the right knee, first of all, we want to keep that knee in line with the ankle, not forward of it, and the back heel on the floor. So that'll tell you your distance apart between your feet. So keeping the toes pointing forward helps keep the hips square. Once you found that place, once you feel stable, maybe open or lift the arms. Hands can come together. They don't have to. They can interlace behind your back. It doesn't matter, right? Keep the shoulders relaxed, the head in line with the spine. You can add in a little back bend here if that makes you happy. And then think about your feet. Even weight, both feet, all four corners. Is your spine still tall? What's going on with your breath? Releasing that, step forward to the top of the mat again. And we will do the same thing on the second side. So that kind of short step back, opening your feet until you feel comfortable width-wise. All right. All 10 toes pointing forward. This left knee is bent, but the right heel is still on the floor. Hips are square. And when you're stable, reach the arms. We're going to take another breath here. And then release that to the top of the mat. All right, so open hip. Take a big step back with the left foot. Here, right toes point forward, left toes are cut in a little bit, and your right heel is in line with your left instep, roughly. Bending into the right knee here. Look for your right big toe, stacking the knee over the ankle. And then notice if your hips kind of kicked, right? This left hip likes to lift a little bit, put it down. So you may have to adjust your feet. These back toes can move in or out. If you find your right knee falling forward, turn your back toes in a little bit. The hips aren't quite ready for all that. Right? So then the same thing here, just lifting the arms parallel to the floor once your lower body is where it needs to be. It's important. And then think about your feet. Four corners. Your legs still working? Probably a lot now. Lower belly is always supporting. Shoulders are relaxed, head is in line. The face turns toward the right hand. And then the fun part. Release your arms, step back to the top of the mat. Maybe. See? Fun. All right. Someone's turning in here. Right foot back. Big step. Same idea. Aligning your feet. Left toes toward the back. Left toes to the top. Right toes turned in a little bit, bending into the knee, look for your big toe. And then adjust your feet, wider, more narrow. These back toes in or out a little bit. Extending the arms when you're ready. Finding the basics. We're going to release that and step back to the top of the mat. Can't make it again later. Fine. Let's do one more here. So taking that big step back with the left foot again. Same position with the feet, right? So the right toe is pointing forward, the left toes are tucked in a little bit. We want to try to keep the hips, these are hips, open to the side of the mat rather than the front. Feel the difference? Okay. And then the same thing with the shoulders. The shoulders rotate with the hips. Here, extending the arms. Keeping the legs straight this time. Reach forward over the right toes. When you can't reach any further forward, Let the right hand come down and the left hand lift. So you might be leaning on your thigh, you might be leaning on your shin, you might not need to lean, that's fine too, right? If you need a chair or a block, feel free to use the props. The idea is to keep the body open to the side rather than turning toward the floor. Can you find the basics here? One more nice big breath. And then we hinge back up. Step back to the top of the mat. And then we'll do the second side. So that big step back with the right foot. When you're ready, keeping the body to the side of your mat, stretch the arms out, reaching forward, and then hinging over. Lean if you must lean. Take another big breath. Inhaling, make your way back to the top. Stepping to the top of the mat. Okay. So stepping off your mat if you need to a wall, if you're feeling a little less than super stable on your feet, we're going to stand on one foot. So whatever else happens, lovely. But we're going to attempt to have only one foot on the floor. So 4 corners of that right foot. Stand up extra tall here, right? Think about all the things that we set up before. The more aligned your body is, the easier it is to lift one foot up off the floor. You get all crooked, stuff goes crazy. So all the way down the right foot. Lift the left. Open at the knee. Bring that foot to the inside of the right leg. So maybe your toes just touch the floor. Sometimes those toes make all the difference in the world. Sometimes your hand has to be on something. If you can bring the foot to the inner thigh, lovely, but that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is to stand evenly on one foot, right? Avoid the knee joint because we want to push the foot into the leg and the leg back into the foot. And that typically doesn't make your knee feel lovely. Tailbone's tucked, the belly's in, the arms maybe reach to the ceiling. They can open, you can interlace, you can look up at your lifted hands, any little thing. But stay focused on the basics. The 4 corners of that right foot. The strength of your right leg. The tailbone being tucked, you're not collapsing into your lower back. Head in line with the spine, that helps. Sometimes picking a focal point that you just kind of stare at helps as well. I'm going to take one more breath here. Bring it in and release it. Okay. So forget about how that went. We're going to the side and side. All the weight in the left foot, lifting the right. Opening at the knee, and then bringing this foot in. Find where is a challenge, but not so much that you're just focused on not falling down the whole time. And then push the foot into the hand, push the foot into the leg back into your foot. Finding your basics. Adding the arms if you're adding the arms here. Yeah, one more breath over on this side. Bring it in and release it. Mm-hmm. Back to the top of the mat if you stepped away. Let's go ahead and inhale with the arms up. Exhale, take yourself over into a fold and let yourself just hang here for a second. So bend the knees if you like. Maybe grab opposite elbow, let your head hang. And then we're going to step it back into all fours, dropping on down into a child's pose. So maybe you open the knees a little wider. Maybe you step the hips back a little bit more. Let's go ahead and come up on the heels for just a quick second. And then bring the legs around front into a seated position. All right, so starting with the legs stretched out long. If you need to be seated on a block, that's fine. Just watch that the knees stay soft, right? We don't want to lock or hyperextend the knee. So think about being upright on the pelvis. Moving the flesh out from underneath your seat helps. Same thing, lifting the pelvic floor, lower belly in an up idea. Yeah. We're going to take the arms up or not, entirely up to you. Hinge forward here. So you're already in that half fold, and if that's a hamstring stretch, you're done. Otherwise, we hinge forward until we can't hinge forward any further and let the hands fall. Just like in our half fold, if the hands up on the thighs with the elbows out helps keep your spine aligned, lovely. Hands on the floor to the toes as long as you're not eating your neck. Taking one more nice big breath here. With the inhale, hinge back up. So the same idea, nice flat back all the way up. Here, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. And we are going to roll down to the back, so you may want to be in a place that you can just roll back. I'm going to turn. Soles of the feet together. Draw the heels in toward the groin. And ideally, keep all four corners touching. Sometimes when we're here, the big toes fall open a little. Try to keep them touching. And then the more you pull on the ankles, the more you can lift your chest and sit tall here. Which is going to be important in a minute because we're going to lean back in balance. And if you round here, you roll down, typically. So without bringing your feet to the floor if you can, keep the chest lifted and bring the knees together, releasing the ankles. You can hold on here, certainly, and maybe on the shins or the backs of the thighs, just keeping the chest lifted and the toes up off the floor. You can leave your knees this bent, or you can maybe take your shins parallel to the floor. If you're feeling like it, take the legs straight-ish. And hang on or let go. Keep the chest lifted. Bring the soles of the feet together again. Knock out those ankles. And you can continue to hang onto the ankles or not. We're going to move, so it may work for a second and then not again. So we want to press the feet into each other. Bring the knees together and squeeze those knees together. And you can, again, hang on to your shins maybe. Open the knees. You can grab on the ankles, press your feet together. Squeeze the knees in, squeeze your knees together. Do that one more time. Feet, knees. Open the knees again, hang on to the ankles, go ahead and round through your spine and drop down. Soles of the feet stay together, stay together, but come to the floor. And then just rest here for a second. Let's go ahead and bring the knees back together. And we're going to work into a bridge. So if you have a block and if you have it handy and you want to use it to support, a supported bridge feels wonderful. Right? So if that's you, grabbing that block. Feet hip bone distance apart. I know you can't see them, but you can feel them. So if you can touch your feet together, they're too close. Okay? Well, without turning your toes in. And then the feet pretty close to the hips, not necessarily touching. Pressing down into your feet here. Take your arms tight to the sides of your body. I like to bend my elbows. It helps me get them in a little closer, but that's optional. The head stays comfortable. We want to press down into the triceps, down into the feet, and imagine pulling your feet toward your hips. So it's a pull, not a push. Head and neck again here, stay comfortable. So the arms can do any manner of things. If you do have that block and you want to set it up underneath your pelvis and lay on it, cool. Otherwise, maybe interlace your fingers. Tucking your shoulders underneath. Keep pressing down with your triceps so your chest stays open, your head and neck are comfortable. Feet pulling toward the body. One more breath. And then release what you got. Keep the feet flat on the floor for just a quick little second here. Drawing the knees into the chest, go ahead and rock. Bring the feet flat to the floor again. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee. Flex the left foot, the outer ankle stays on top of the knee here. And then we're going to take the fingers and interlace them behind the right thigh. If you want to use the strap here, you can put the strap around the back of the thigh. Keeping the shoulders down and back as much as you can. Start pulling the right leg in towards your chest. Noticing how the lower back starts to press into the floor. Maybe the right hip kicks up a little bit toward the shoulder. Sometimes the head and shoulders even lift up off the floor, but it is what it is. So we want to keep the idea of pulling in, but now push the right leg back away. So push into the hands, keep the arms pulling toward the body, and see if you can realign your spine. So relax your head, relax your shoulders, feel the lower back kind of lift away from the floor a little bit. The hips are square again, or closer to square. Let's go ahead and release that. And we're going to switch sides here, bringing the right ankle over the left knee. Same thing. Reach back behind the leg. Use a strap if that's you. And then gently start to draw that left leg in toward the body. Keep pulling in, but use the leg to push back away. Realigning your spine as much as you can. with this left leg in toward the body as much as it can be. Releasing, taking both feet flat to the floor again. Let's go ahead and open the arms out into a T position. We're going to shift the hips over to the right and then drop the knees to the left. So you're kind of stacking that right hip on top of the left. Relax your shoulders, turning to look over your right hand. You can add this or that if you know where you're going. Otherwise, just be here for a minute. Just a couple more breaths over on this side. And then making your way back to the middle. We'll take the second side. So hips to the left and knees to the right. Relax your legs, relax your shoulders, maybe look over your left hand. And remember, you can add all of those extras in, but do you need to? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's no. Couple more breaths over on this side. And then finding the middle again. We're going to draw the knees into the chest. Give it a little rock. And then squeeze those knees in as tight as you can get them. Pulling the forehead to the knees. Give yourself a hug. Releasing into a full body stretch. And then release that stretch. Bring the arms down by your sides. Finding alignment here. So if you feel like you need your feet flat to the floor or a bolster behind your knees, go ahead and make the body comfortable, feeling aligned against the mat. And then once you're there, release the muscles into the floor. See if you can just let go. Feeling heavy and even into the mat. Release those long, smooth, controlled breaths. But see if you can stay focused on the breath. Just kind of watching in and out. Counting if you feel like you need to count to keep the mind focused and present. And let yourself just be here for a little bit. Remember, you can stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. And when you're ready, gently deepen the breath and gradually restore movement to your body. And when you're ready, keeping your mind in this place, your eyes closed, slowly make your way up to a seated position. Sitting well, and bringing the palms to touch. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me. Right? Hopefully this sets your new year up well, right? So we last until longer than February. Ty hanging in with me. Thanks. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend, whatever whatever you plan to do. And I will see you next week. If you have any questions, suggestions, requests, proposes, feel free to holler at me. Facebook, YouTube, anydayyoga.com, wherever you find me. All right, y'all. See ya. I'm going to take Facebook over to the kitties because they are super cute right now. All right. So hang tight with me. Let me see if I can do this without going crazy. Stupid holder. Stupid holder really holds. So, can you see the babies? How stinking cute are these babies right now? My word. So those are my feral kitties who are way less feral right now, and we're hoping to get them adopted out. So keep good thoughts for those babies because they can't live here forever. All right, y'all have a good weekend. Thank you.